Hi, this is Peggy from WAR. So today we are joined by two wonderful professionals in the fintech industry. So on the top part of the screen, and it has nothing to do with anything, we have Chris Whyte. So Chris is the Chief Risk and Financial Officer at Caary. And at the bottom, we have Salil Vijay, who's not impersonating anyone at this point, and is the Chief Product Officer. So thank you so much for being with me today, guys. So
Oh, thank you, Peggy.
you're working in one of the hottest fintech in Canada right now. So I really want to hear more about your professional journey. Before that, I want to tell you a big congrats. So 75% raised through Front Funder in 10 days. So 1.5 million, I think that's the biggest, fastest raise we've ever seen. So it's a testament to you. So congratulations for that.
Oh, thank you. It's outstanding.
It is
Thank
indeed.
you.
So maybe I'll start with you, Chris.
Sure.
Would you be kind enough to tell us, our viewers, a bit more about your professional journey, but also what brought you to Caary?
Sure, love to. So I'm sort of a career financial services person. Had the good fortune to work across multiple channels, including investment banking, commercial banking, consumer and digital banking. But I always had a really interest in technology and the impact technology was having on the industry. So I did a bit of a left turn and went into the fintech business, specifically with a company called D&H, which is now Finastra. And I ran their SaaS lending platforms across Canada and parts of the US, and did that for many years. And then had the opportunity to get involved in the startup community a little bit here in Toronto, and have served as an advisor, board member, investor in different companies here in town. How I got involved in Caary was through our CEO, John McKinley. John and I worked together at CIBC many moons ago, and we've stayed in touch and stayed connected over that time. And at the same time, I also had a real interest in the SME space, the small and medium enterprise space. And when John called, and I have a great deal of respect and time for John, and he said that he was working on this really exciting project called Caary that was in that space, I was really keen to get involved.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Chris. And always great to see another ex-CIBC.
Exactly.
Like there is a nest,
It's a big club.
I always joke that, to be qualified as a Canadian banker, you need to have worked at CIBC at some point. That's
some kind of rite of passage, I guess.
It is exactly that, thank you very much. So Salil, tell us more as well about your background.
Same. I'm in the part of the club too.
I
at
know.
CIBC.
And actually, we knew each other from CIBC, which is
that's right.
which
Yes.
is even funnier.
You were there for a short while, yes, but I think overlap. I think we actually sat close to each other as well.
Exactly.
So yeah. So for me, my career has a much smaller career than compared to Chris, but most of it's been with banking. Although I began as a strategy consultant in Vancouver, but I was I'm by DNA and training, I'm an engineer. So strategy consulting was a bit too, I suppose, hands off for me. So I immediately jumped to banking, and I've been in banks from HSBC to Amex to my last role about is, and meandering around various. I started off in analytics, but more in corp dev and marketing have been my various roles that I've done. And part of the last few years were very heavily involved in credit card processing for CIBC. I was part of the team that negotiated the largest credit card deal ever done in Canada, I suppose, the CIBC EMEA negotiations.
Mm-hmm.
So I got I suppose a crash course in credit card P&L is understanding it. And then I got to eat what I baked. I managed the Aeroplan portfolio after that for a while. But besides that, I've spent helped launched digital products for CIBC and RBC, mostly in unsecured lending. And so why Caary? So as I manage the Aeroplan portfolio, we launched the first first corporate credit card in CIBC, and I got to learn firsthand how archaic the SME credit card product is compared to the personal product, because most of the bank's energy, and this is not just for CIBC, this is pretty much all banks. Most of the calories go in the personal credit card. The SME credit card is just a, for lack of a better word, just a copy paste of that personal product. Not a lot of thought or effort goes into why we should change it for SMEs. So that I learned that, but then there's only so much you can do in part of a big corporation, So when we got a chance, I actually am the first, I suppose technically the very first employee and the founding member of the Caary team. Steve and Jason, when they reached out, they were looking for somebody to help with this inception of this idea, and I came on as a first employee, and I've been with Caary since day one. Trying, I was given a blank slate basically to reimagine what an SME payments platform would look like, no holds barred. So, and that gave me, it was a very exciting role. Otherwise, it's very hard to move from a traditional banking career into a startup environment. So it was an opportunity. It was like, doesn't happen normally for a banking employee. But so I jumped at the chance to actually build something from scratch. So here we are.
And I think you took the right, you jumped on the right opportunity. And as you mentioned, SMEs tend to be across the board, not just in Canada, but Europe, US, always underserved by financial services. So great opportunity to have like nimble organization, just getting into that. So Chris, there is one thing that's very, very interesting about the business model, about Caary, is the underwriting. And I'd love you to, that resonated a lot with the people I spoken with. So I'd love you to explain a bit more about that.
Sure, I'll give you a bit of an overview at least. The as Salil mentioned, we really felt the sector was underserved. And that same strategy around, taking your consumer products and trying to stuff them into the small business sector also applied to the credit model, right? Everything is just sort of a pale imitation of what you'd give to the consumer product, and not a lot of things that are specifically built to serve that sector. So one of the trends we noticed is a couple of things. Is the landscape for businesses, and small business in particular, is constantly shifting. And a big trend these days is a very robust and fast growing startup sector where they can have a lot of assets and raise a lot of cash, but don't necessarily have the long established credit history that is the kind of core basis of consumer lending. So that's one thing we noticed. We also noticed some models in different jurisdictions in the US and elsewhere that were starting to break away from that traditional credit approach. And we now have access to tools and capabilities in the fintech sector where we can look at things a little bit differently. First thing that's different is we see Caary as not a product, but a platform. So we want to sort of be there for the whole journey of the clients. And we want to not just be a credit product, but we want to be a payments, credit, financial management. We want to be an ecosystem for that small and medium enterprise group. And one of the ways we're doing that is to, rather than look at the backward looking traditional credit score model, we're looking at assets and cash flow and using fintech tools to assess and monitor those things, and then be able to determine, how our product could be used and what kind of credit we can grant against that. So we're starting with our launch product is a card-based product that can function either as a charge card for people who have very short-term credit needs, or as a credit card for people who have slightly longer-term credit needs. But in either case, they get access to all of the financial management capabilities of the platform. Salil's actively.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Chris. I love that type of underwriting because I'm sure you can hear to my accent. I'm an immigrant. And so I've seen the challenge of you don't have a credit score, both on the personal and on the business. And you can, and we know that women, person of colors have more difficulty as well accessing to financing. So there is a great angle here in terms of diversity and inclusion. So I just wanted to mention that. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a great insight because when we're looking at sort of the assets and the cash flow of the business, it's maybe in some ways the ultimate of democracy. We're not caring about who you look or where you came from or how old you are or how young you are. We're really looking at the fundamentals and the opportunity in your business.
I love that ultimate democracy. I'm going to reuse that. That's
no problem.
That's great. And Salil, so Chris mentioned the ecosystem, the platform. could you tell us a bit more about
Yeah.
the entire ecosystem?
Yeah. So I think I'll start by saying, just repeating one of the lines that Chris used, it's the ecosystem. So again, I suppose if you start a fintech in 2021, you cannot be a product company because, you know, with the ease of access to various technologies, if you're a single product company, then pretty soon you have to evolve into multiple products. But then the question then becomes, what features or what products do you put together? So if you start going down that road, you might end up investing money that nobody buys, right? The product nobody buys. I suppose that the way that we look at it, this, or at least we should be looking at this, is the client isn't actually out in the market to buy a credit card or a expense management system. They need something for their business, right? So we look at it from that point of view, and then see what features can we build that help the client in what they're actually trying to do, rather than sell a product. So we started, okay, so we had to have a starting point. So we had a starting point with a corporate credit card. But then when we designed the whole platform, we designed it from that point of view. What does a small business spend time on that's quote unquote unproductive for them? They're not in the business of collecting receipts or managing expenses. They're in the business of manufacturing, marketing, whatever they do. So how do we take those pains away from them and build it into our feature set? So right off the bat, then the very coolest feature, I suppose, that I would talk about is in the beginning, once we adjudicate you, is the ability to sell you virtual cards. So virtual cards, people talk about it a lot. It's a lot more prevalent in Europe and the rest of the world, except, and not in Canada just yet. Virtual cards are amazing in the sense that we allow you unlimited number of cards for free. So it's just like a real a physical card, minus the plastic. So you can order unlimited number of cards. You can order one-time use cards. So if you want to use a particular card and you're worried about your number being exposed online, just order a card and cancel it after that thing is done. The number disappears. And by that mean you can actually set expiries on the card. So that's one feature. The other thing is you can assign these cards, the virtual cards, and physical cards for that matter, to a specific merchant, to a specific subscription, to a specific spend category. So that way, now when you actually see the dashboard, you can actually separate out all your subscriptions on one page and see how are you doing compared to your budget. You can set budgets on the platform and watch your subscriptions against those budgets. You have, if you're like me and want to, you do a lot of online trials. You set up for a monthly trial and then you forget, the fee kicks in. So what I would do is you'd order a virtual card or use that credit card for a free subscription, set the expiry at the beginning of the first when the first fee hits. So that, you're not going to forget that when the fee hits you, it'll already expire before that hits.
I like that.
It's a very good use case for a virtual card. So it brings with, of course, the security of obviously, having to cancel the card if you like, right? All these cards are available on the digital wallet. So even though it's a virtual card, you can use it on your mobile phone, along with the physical card. So that's the card aspect of it. And because it allows the control of the system allows control on the cards, where you can actually set spend restrictions on it. So you can lock the card for X number of dollars a month. So you suppose you set a budget for, I do not want to spend more than $500 on Facebook ads. So you can set a card for Facebook ads, set $500 budget, and it will never go over $500 budget per month or per quarter or half of 6 months. So spend controls are available on your app. You can set these cards for teams or by location. So you can select when you order a card, virtual cards are available instantly to you in your mobile app. So you order it in 10 seconds, you have the card. And now when you order a card, you can set that card for a marketing spend for the Toronto location. So the system remembers that, and it will now, when you do your dashboarding, you can just pull up, tell me my spend by my marketing group, or by,
For a business owner, I mean, that's a huge peace of mind to know that, okay, we've all been in situation like that where, employees are using I was working a long time ago at CGI, and one of my employees was playing online poker with his corporate credit card, which always create interesting conversation, as you can imagine. So all these problems you
Yeah.
don't even have to worry about, you know?
The funny thing is, we are a credit card, we are solving this problem, and we have this problem. I have to keep asking Steve and Jason for their credit card numbers to spend on Amazon. And so, if only I had my own product that I could use it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So we know exactly, we live this on a daily basis. So the spend management platform, from an expense management perspective, it allows you to do a lot of these things that are very useful from an expense management perspective. There's a lot of visibility on the one hand,
Mhm.
accountability on the other hand. So you can, if you have a team of 50 or 100 people and you have managers, the system allows you to create different levels of administrative users. So if
Mhm.
I'm the manager, then be given rights to order cards for my staff, and then I could be the super admin, then watches all the administrators and see how their cards are performing at the
Well,
manager level.
you're replacing all these policies we've lived under, you know,
Yeah.
like with level of approval and all that.
That's right. Yeah.
Just one thing we tend to forget when we speak about SMBs, people think, okay, well, like me, a standalone person or a shop with 5 people, but SMBs goes up to, you know,
That's
500
right.
people and
That's right.
extremely sizable
Yep.
budget.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I think in Canada, it's 99% of the business that are
Correct.
SMBs,
I think
actually.
so. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. 98 or 99. Correct. Yes.
So that's a TAM, an addressable market that is
Yeah.
actually massive. And we were speaking with John last week. I think he
Yes.
was
Yeah.
mentioning that real estate, construction, you know, all these very intensive in terms of capital
Yeah.
line of business would be your prime
Yeah.
client. And that I think is very
Yeah.
interesting because we
Yeah.
tend to think by default about our own, you know,
Yes.
I think technology companies startup, but actually there are so many use
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah. Yeah. So an interesting thing about this is, as you build the infrastructure, you come up with use cases that are so creative. And when we started it, it was, oh, if we built this, it'll be good. But now, if we built this, that would be good. Now has expanded to another year's worth of roadmap, because there's so many creative things that you can do from here on, that our product roadmap keeps becoming bigger and bigger and more elaborate and more client centric. So
That's
that's I suppose from the expense management side. There is another section to the platform, which is accounting
Mhm,
integrations.
mhm.
So
Well,
another
and
big portion.
that links to Chris, I guess. That's a bit the self-fulfilling actually prophecy where you get the accounting information that helps the small business and it helps Chris with the underwriting. Am I correct? Is it the
Yeah,
cycle of life?
yeah, a little bit. It's really as Salil indicated earlier, it's really about sort of empowering the small business person and putting those sort of financial controls and policies on their phone. And instead of having the to do things in a manual basis, having an ecosystem where you can move the transactions electronically from purchase through to management and into the appropriate accounts in your financial system. And then there's an opportunity then as you do that, you're going to get, as the small business person, more insight into your data and how you're spending
Hmm.
and where you're spending, which can help you be more efficient in the long run.
And you, Chris, your department, I guess, use this information as your because when you underwrite, I guess you're using everything that Salil is doing in terms of connection to the accounting platform to help you see the flow of cash.
Absolutely, and the way that we've built the underwriting model, we have the ability to sort of really fine tune it on a rapid, ongoing basis.
Mhm.
And my working hypothesis is that we'll start to add some, as we get more data, we'll be able to say, well, this is a real estate company, so they're going to have slightly different needs than this, which is a fintech company, and we'll be able to optimize our underwriting to appeal to those different sectors.
Yeah. So
That's
one of
great.
the things that we look at, and we haven't actually touched on, is the receipt capture, right? So what we would do as part of our platform is collect receipts from the clients.
Mhm.
Not only do we collect receipts, we OCR them and read what's in it at a SKU level. So we, to your point, Peggy, understand where the client's spending the money on.
Mhm.
So from an earlier bit in the conversation, when we do underwrite on the cash balances. But with this lens, we will get information on where the business is spending. So we would build algorithms to tell us whether, if you're spending a lot on cost of goods sold and not on travel,
Right.
say, you're bound to be doing well because, because that's another lens that we have that others will not have.
Oh, I
Right?
can
That-
see so much use cases in terms of predictive analytics, financial advice, and everything. I mean, sky is the limit once you have
Cost savings.
information.
Cost savings. So I
Yes,
could tell you, for example, that you are spending in your cohort of similar companies, you're over indexed on spending on
Exactly.
marketing, say,
Exactly.
right? Or buying paper. It could be anything, right? Because I could tell you're buying a lot of paper. Right?
Well, and I guess, Chris, you can piggyback on that and then reach out to them and say, well, listen, maybe we can give you a higher limit credit card, or maybe we can give you a better rate or things like that because you're in that top quartile. So
Absolutely. So it's a virtuous circle from a sort of credit feedback loop. And the more transaction volume we get through the platform, the better we can be at making those calls.
oh, that's wonderful. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Any parting thoughts? But thank you. That was very, very helpful, very insightful.
No, I mean you get us talking about the platform. I could talk for about an hour and a half.
That's right. We're happy to talk at great length.
Okay, well,
Thank you, Peggy.
thank you again, and good luck. It's a very, very interesting platform, and I do believe it's very, very needed in the ecosystem. It's been very interesting for me to see the feedback I received from people texting me, WhatsApping me on LinkedIn saying, well, we need that. So I think
That's great.
you're bang on.
Yes,
Good to hear.
Hope so.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.